Fortnite, the game that took the entire world by storm. A game that exploded off its quirky items, unique engagements, and of course, its signature building mechanic. The one thing that made Fortnite different and stand out among the competition. However, throughout the years, Fortnite has declined in popularity. Many people have given their opinions on the reason for the game's decline. The Battle Royale genre has become stale, with the global pandemic easing, many people are resuming normal life, and the game itself has just lost its magic. Yet another reason always seemed to be the first people would point to for their lack of enjoyment on Fortnite: the sweats.
I got sniped in the head, dude! What's happening?
Holy who are these people?
He's L dancing, you fucking loser.
I'm so done! Why is this sniper doing this?
More simply put, the player base had just become too good. Gone were the days of jumping on for a casual fun game of Fortnite with your friends, rocket riding each other, or just going for shopping cart trick shots. Anyone short of Booga would at some point feel the frustration of not being good enough to play the game, even in the non-ranked playlist. It wasn't just players who were feeling these struggles as well. Even creators whose job it was to play the game every day began to become frustrated.
Nice, dude. We get it. You have a combat!
Dude, off, bro. You're f***ing dog shit.
For these reasons and many more, Fortnite's popularity began rapidly declining, especially towards the end of 2021. Despite all of this though, almost no one could have predicted what Fortnite would do next. With the introduction of Chapter 3 Season 2, Epic Games would remove building from Fortnite. This would be met with memes, jokes, and in a lot of instances, straight out hatred. Building is what made Fortnite Fortnite. It was literally the fort in Fortnite. With this gone, it would just be a subpar, goofy third-person battle royale, right? Wrong. Despite initial concerns, no builds exploded with popularity. Players were returning to their once beloved game in waves. No single previous update or season saw such a surge of growth as the introduction of no builds. No longer could sweats crank 90s after being shot once and quad edit one pump you. They were free to enjoy the game once again, and it felt completely different, but also familiar. Along with this surge in player base, many of Fortnite's favorite OG creators would return to the game. Tfue, Nick Merckx, Courage JD, and so many more.
Dude, this fucking game is lit, man. Oh my god.
Good job, guys. That was actually fun. It's obviously a completely different play style with no building, but it feels really good. I like it a lot.
I haven't felt like that in a Fortnite game and like had genuine excitement like that in years.
Not only this, it even brought new creators previously unknown to Fortnite, and with it, their audiences. Streaming numbers skyrocketed. Fortnite even went one step further, introducing no-build tournaments, which often get an even higher number of players than regular build tournaments. With player base, viewership, and overall sentiment towards no builds being this much higher than the core build playlist, it has now prompted the discussion, is no builds the future of Fortnite? To answer this question, we need to first do a brief history of building in Fortnite and go back even further than 2018 and the initial release of Fortnite Battle Royale. We need to go all the way back to 2011, when Fortnite was showcased to the world for the very first time.
Is that all you got?
This gives us a unique glimpse into the initial concept of the game. Build a fort, defeat the husk, or zombies. Often people forget that Fortnite was never intended to be a battle royale. The original Save the World version of the game was in development for close to a decade before Epic saw the hype around battle royales like PUBG and H1Z1 and decided to make the Fortnite we know and love today. The battle royale was intended to, and initially did, follow this similar playstyle. Build a fort, defeat the enemies. The building mechanic was intended to be one of constructing a defensible position or hastily put up a wall or ramp for defense against incoming fire. It was this added feature of building that revolutionized the battle royale genre and saw the game explode in popularity. Yet it was far from the use of building we would see today. The ability to just build multiple ramps in a row was awe-inspiring. To even be able to build a wall between you and your enemy was seen as an advanced mechanic. This was, in my opinion, the golden age of Fortnite, and a time most people look back on as when they enjoyed the game the most. when building was a key feature of Fortnite, but outside of the top tier pros, was limited to minimal builds and instead relied more on positioning, aim, and the use of all the fun and unique items of the game. Even the building meta was not a difficult one to keep up with. A time when building the fastest 1x1, or at the time a myth tower, was the peak of building skills. You didn't need to spend thousands of hours practicing your high ground retakes to defeat your opponent. The game was for the most part as Epic had originally intended. It was a shooting game with a building mechanic. This, however, is where things get tricky. It was as players would push building to its limits that many people fell in love with the game. This was the answer to the frustrations of regular battle royales. In other games like PUBG and H1Z1, if you were caught out in the open or just had a bad zone, you were often out of luck and would be eliminated as a result. Not only this, it was an entirely new mechanic to learn and enjoy. You could build sky bases with your friends or do ridiculous trap towers. It didn't have to always be sweaty. If you really wanted to get the edge on your opponent, you'd load up YouTube and check out Beak's newest insane ramp rush, or have your mind blown by Nick A30's lightning fast edit plays.
Oh! Dirty!
It was a simpler time and one that many people wish they could go back to. Epic, seeing this, began to further develop building in Fortnite, and with the addition of turbo building, the ability to hold down your build bind and seamlessly build continuously, Fortnite very quickly progressed from a shooting game with a building mechanic to a building game with a shooting mechanic. Game modes being added like Playground and eventually Creative meant players would spend hours upon hours practicing complex building maneuvers. For the high-level players, this would lead to a never-ending cycle of progression and learning. For the casual player though, this meant more and more ways for players who spent far more time on the game to outplay you. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. A game where the best player always wins is a dream for competitive players. And on the back of this, Fortnite would become a premier esports, boasting some of the biggest prize pools we've ever seen in gaming. Even casual players would tune into their favorite streamers or watch the broadcast in awe at the skill on display. Tournaments like the World Cup would see record levels of participation. Let's fast forward now though through the rest of Chapter 2 and continue our story in Chapter 2 Season 8, the last season of Chapter 2. The player base has declined, and anytime you ask someone why they quit Fortnite, it would almost always be met with something along the lines of, "I was sick of 9-year-olds building the Taj Mahal the second I shot a single bullet at them." If you weren't in Creative drilling FaZe Sway's newest high ground retake or practicing your edits in Raider 464's edit course, you were falling behind. Epic, feeling the pressure of a game in decline, seemingly out of nowhere flipped Fortnite on its head. Literally, the entire map flipped and we jumped into a brand new chapter and map filled with hope and optimism for the game's future. In an attempt to combat this growing hatred of sweats and overbuilding, Fortnite implemented a meta that many saw as the direct attempt to solve this issue and give power back to the casual player: the SMG. The hardcore player base would quickly find many of their drilled building mechanics and high ground retakes effectively useless in the face of a build shredding, face melting, and overall overpowered SMG. Sadly, this did not have the intended effect. Instead of increasing the casual player base, it only succeeded in driving the core players away from the game without truly capturing the hearts of new and casual players. How could Epic somehow draw new and old players back to the game who desired a more casual experience while also maintaining their existing player base who had supported the game for years, developing their skills at building? Split the game in two. A game mode dedicated to rekindling the old way of Fortnite while also feeling fresh and new. The no-build game mode would be added in Chapter 3 Season 2. While this was met with excitement and positivity by new and returning players, despite the game mode being split from the regular playlist, much of the existing audience who preferred building in Fortnite became upset and challenged by Epic's attention and efforts into no-builds. It is no secret that since its addition into Fortnite, no-builds has been Epic's primary focus, with new items and balance changes being catered to no-builds over builds. It's easy to understand Epic's point of view. A game grows with new players. However, from the building side of things, a game survives with its existing players. It's now been over half a year since no build was added to the game, and whether players like it or not, it appears to be the future of the game. It has a higher average participation in tournaments due to the lower skill ceiling. It has higher average viewership numbers due to it being more accessible to content creators. Epic's goal ultimately was a success. Yet, how much of this is only due to it being new and less developed game mode? How long before no builds follows the same fate as conventional Fortnite and players become frustrated that their opponents are too good or too sweaty in no builds?
I'm done with this game. Trashy ass game. Get me the f up. Get out of here, man!
Is no build's popularity just due to it being new and exciting? Fortnite as a game has survived and on every account thrived for over 5 years now, with no builds only being added a little over 6 months ago. If Epic were to continue their focus on no builds as the primary game mode, would it return the game to its previous glory, or instead shun the audience that has kept the game alive all this time? It's a difficult question and is one that I'm not entirely sure I can answer. Much of the competitive community especially are scared for the future of the game. Hype around the conventional building side of the game is at an all-time low. Could Epic's solution to the declining player base within the casual audience also be their way to fix competitive? Putting more and more time and money into the no builds playlist, neglecting the original build mode, letting it essentially die. So, is no builds the future of Fortnite? Honestly, I don't know, but I don't think we'll have to wait long for the answer, as the FNCS Invitational, the first Epic Grand LAN event since World Cup, is on November 12th, and with it a big announcement for the future of Fortnite. I guess we'll have to wait and see.